Thailand's constitutional court just removed the country's prime minister, Srettha Thavisin, from office. It is a seismic event,
triggering further political upheaval
that throws the kingdom into fresh turmoil.
This is a major political earthquake here in Thailand.
On the surface, it's a really simple case. The prime minister appoints this guy to cabinet. The problem was, he had a criminal record. He'd served 6 months behind bars for contempt of court. So his appointment to cabinet was a serious breach of ethics rules. You can't knowingly appoint someone lacking such moral integrity, as they put it. The penalty from the court? The prime minister is out. Now, that might sound like a really harsh penalty. I mean, you're completely upending the ruling party because of what the PM says was an innocent mistake, an oversight. But then you start to realize just how much power Thailand's judiciary really has, how historically it has found itself closely aligned with the country's military and the country's monarchy, and how this triumvirate has played an outsized role in shaping and reshaping the country's political landscape. And today, battle lines in Thailand are being redrawn in real time in a way where it's not entirely obvious where the pieces end up a month or even a week from now. Let me show you why. Now, it's impossible to summarize decades of Thai politics in such a short time, but we can start to get a glimmer of understanding of how we got here by understanding how all the players are connected. Let's start with the cabinet appointment that just got the PM fired. His name isn't important so much as the fact that he spent years as a lawyer to the former prime minister, Thaksin Shinawatra. Now, this guy is important because he's very influential. He's a billionaire who spent 15 years in exile, now under house arrest in Thailand, over his political activity. He founded a very important political party, Pheu Thai, which is still the governing party today and the party of Srettha Thavisin, the prime minister, who was just kicked out of office by the courts. And this link is important because the court's latest move, decapitating Pheu Thai's leadership, ousting the PM, this is a stinging blow to an old enemy.
Thaksin and his parties, his associated parties, have been the number one kind of oppositional force to the military over the last 2 decades.
There is a long-standing grudge match between the powerful, wealthy Shinawatra family and what you might call the conservative establishment of Thailand. That is to say, the monarchy, the royalist military, and the court system that has often ruled in their interest. Shinawatra has been a polarizing figure, both revered for his populist policies and focus on the economy, but dogged by allegations of corruption and nepotism, and seen as a threat by the traditional power base of the country.
So really, you have to ask who the Shinawatra family represents more than anything. These are individuals that do not come from kind of established elite aristocratic families from Bangkok and the central region. There are this new elite, this new business elite, and they don't quite fit into that those established norms.
Twice in the last 20 years, Shinawatra's political parties have been dissolved by Thailand's constitutional court. He keeps building political movements, the courts keep striking them down. As prime minister, he himself was ousted in a military coup. And fast forward to today, the court case to force the current prime minister out, it was brought by a group of 40 former senators, all appointed by the military, in what constitutes yet another big win for the conservative establishment against a party founded by a longtime thorn in their side. But there is more to this than just extending a decades-old beef between the ultra-rich and the ultra-powerful.
We're seeing this, the 60 million voters in Thailand keep electing progressive actors, and certainly Move Forward was the latest iteration of that. But that will of the people gets interrupted either through a military coup or the interventionist court.
Yes, this is about an establishment with a track record of not tolerating challenges to its authority, no matter where they come from. What's interesting about the prime minister who was just ousted was that his party didn't even technically win the last general election in 2023.
The progressive Move Forward party came out on top, as Thais delivered a stunning rebuke to the military-backed government.
Yes, an entirely different political party called Move Forward won the popular vote and won the most seats. It was a big moment because they're social democrats, progressive, anti-military, anti-monarchy. They formed a ruling coalition and controlled Thailand's lower house, but their effort to form government in last year's election was blocked because to form government, you need at least half of the legislature's votes. That's 375 votes out of 750 seats. But 250 of those seats are in the Senate, and who appoints all senators in Thailand? The military. This skews things in favor of the conservative establishment because without their approval, it's much harder to get into power. Move Forward's coalition couldn't muster the numbers. That's how the country ended up with the second place party, per Thai, forming a coalition government with Move Forward relegated to opposition status.
They were the first party in modern Thai history that was able to win majority support across provinces, almost swept Bangkok, young and old, rich and poor, right? They were a legitimately popular party. And that's an existential threat to the existing order.
And the establishment wasn't done with Move Forward. More recently, the other bombshell to rock Thai politics happened when the same constitutional court that just forced the prime minister from power ruled just a week ago that the Move Forward party shall be dissolved entirely. Now, why would it do that? Well, because a central plank of that party's platform was to amend the country's lèse-majesté law. And the monarchy was not happy about that.
Lèse-majesté is any law that outlaws certain criticisms of a monarchy.
In Thailand, criticizing the king or queen can lead to a 15-year prison sentence for each offense. Hundreds of people have been prosecuted in recent years, including a man sentenced to 50 years in prison over a series of Facebook posts. In its ruling last week, the Constitutional Court accused Move Forward of undermining the monarchy. Basically, that by calling for changes to the lèse-majesté law, it was trying to topple the Thai monarchy. So, the party's been disbanded, its senior leadership forbidden from taking part in politics for 10 years.
The monarchy is an institution around the military and other kind of conservative institutions, which would include the judicial system and especially the Constitutional Court. So if we view them together as some type of established conservative aristocratic elite, then I think we can understand a little bit better why they're making the decisions that they're making.
So in the last 7 or so days, we've seen this axis of power in Thailand, the monarchy, the military, and the courts, lashing out against those political parties who've called for changes to the status quo. It is part of a long-standing battle for power that has seen lawmakers, prime ministers, even entire governments dissolved by courts or overthrown by force. But I said at the start, battle lines are continually being redrawn in ways that aren't a simple this group against this other group.
These military, business, and palace elites that have been governing Thailand for the better part of a century, they were always able to rely on some base of support. That has now fractured, and there is no amount of constitutional tinkering or politicking that will ever allow them to win a free and fair election again.
It's a major upheaval that will change not only the face of government, but also the face of Thai politics yet again.
It's worth remembering the court decision to oust the current prime minister was a 5-4 decision. That's nearly half the court that disagreed with the move.
This ruling was a bit of a surprise. And like I said, there's a lot of interpretation for what's going on.
Now they've got to go back to Parliament and cobble together another government, another Prime Minister. It all just looks like perpetual political uncertainty and instability in Thailand.
And you know how we know this story isn't about to end? One of the leading candidates to replace the Prime Minister is none other than the 37-year-old daughter of billionaire Thaksin Shinawatra. If successful, she would become the third member of the Shinawatra family to become prime minister, and the entire country would likely be in for a much longer fight.